Way up in the Himalayas, where the air gets really thin and the wind seems to whisper old stories, there's this mountain pass with a pretty amazing name. It translates to the Pass of Listening Ears. And we're talking about Nathu La, a place where history, geopolitics, and just jaw-dropping nature all come crashing together. Okay, let's dive right into what makes this place so special. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that feeling you get when you're actually there. It's so much more than just a destination, right? It's a full-on experience that fills you with this incredible sense of national pride. Standing right there at the edge of the country and seeing the Indian flag whip around in the wind against that stark, snowy backdrop, it's a moment that really, truly sticks with you. So what is it that makes this place so completely unique? Well, it's this wild blend of a very real, very serious military presence, right next to some of the most stunning scenery you will ever see. On one hand, you've got the disciplined reality of an international border, and on the other, the raw, untamed beauty of the Himalayas. It's a heck of a contrast. And the name itself is just beautiful, isn't it? Let's break it down. In Tibetan, Nathu means listening ears, and La simply means pass. What a fitting name for a place that has quietly witnessed centuries of trade, of conflict, and of connection between people. And when we talk about altitude, we are talking about a staggering height. Get this, 14,140 feet above sea level. That makes the road that winds its way up to Nathu La one of the highest motorable roads on the entire planet. I mean, that's an engineering marvel in and of itself, built to handle some of the most extreme conditions you can imagine. So geographically, Nathu La is basically the bridge. It connects Sikkim in India with the Chumbi Valley in China's Tibet Autonomous Region. And it's this exact strategic position that explains why it's been so important throughout history. Okay, so you might be wondering, how do you even get to a remote border crossing like this? Well, the journey itself is a huge part of the adventure. It's this scenic, sometimes thrilling, climb high up into the Himalayas. Getting there has a few key steps you gotta follow. First things first, you absolutely need a permit. This is mandatory only for Indian nationals, and you have to get it sorted out a day beforehand. The trip starts from Gangtok, and it's about a 2-hour drive. On the way, you're definitely going to want to stop and rent some snow gear. Gum boots are a lifesaver for grip. Then, for that final leg near Canggu Lake, you'll probably switch over to a local shared jeep for the last push up to the pass. All right, here are a few essential things to keep in mind if you're planning a visit. The best time to go is from May to about mid-November, because in the winter, temps can drop to a bone-chilling minus 25 degrees Celsius. Seriously cold. A trip usually takes about 2 or 3 days, and remember that permit is non-negotiable and it's only available to Indian citizens. Now let's hit rewind for a bit. Nathu La isn't just some modern tourist spot. Oh no, its history is incredibly deep and, frankly, pretty complicated. This very pass was a vital part of the ancient Silk Road, but it's also been a flashpoint for military conflict. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. It starts way back in ancient times as part of the Silk Road, gets used by a British expedition in the early 1900s, then comes a huge moment in 1958 when Jawaharlal Nehru opens the motorable road from Gangtok. But just 4 years later, after the 1962 war, India sealed the pass. It saw some pretty fierce clashes in 1967 before finally reopening for trade in 2006, after 44 long years of silence. And the change in its role was just night and day. Before 1962, you have to picture this as a bustling trade highway. Mules plodding back and forth carrying goods, cloth, oil, and medicines from India, and bringing back silk and wool from Tibet. Then, after 1962, it all just stopped. It became a heavily militarized, totally sealed border, a real symbol of the deep freeze in relations between the two countries. Now, those clashes in 1967 are a really crucial chapter in Nathu La's story. It was a moment where Indian forces, through a series of intense skirmishes, successfully held their ground. This event was a big deal because it showed a huge improvement in India's military readiness and resolve, just a few short years after the 1962 conflict. So, what about today? What role does Nathu La play now? Let's take a look at the pass in the 21st century, since it's been reopened. It's transformed yet again, this time into this really unique meeting point for trade, for tourism, and even for diplomacy. That reopening in 2006 was a landmark event. Today, Nathu La is one of only 3 open trading posts along the entire border between these two giants. That alone tells you how significant it is. A cautious, but really important step towards economic cooperation and more normal relations. So, what's actually being traded back and forth? Well, the official list of approved items is super specific. On the Indian side, you're exporting things like tea, spices, and clothes. Coming in from China, it's mostly raw materials: goat skin, wool, raw silk. This pretty limited list is actually one of the main reasons the trade hasn't exactly boomed like everyone hoped it would. And this chart, wow, this chart tells the whole story. The initial projections were just wildly optimistic. I mean, some people were hoping for over 12,000 crore rupees in trade. But the reality? It's been way, way more modest. That huge gap between expectation and reality really shines a light on the massive practical challenges, from the harsh weather that limits trade to just a few months a year, to infrastructure problems that are still a hurdle. The truth is, Nathu La's importance today is about so much more than just trade. It's a huge tourist destination for Indian citizens. It's also an official border personnel meeting point where the two armies can talk. It offers a newer, often easier route for the holy pilgrimage to Mount Kailash. And, this is fascinating, it's still a physical mail exchange point for families who were split by the border. So, in the end, Nathu La is a place of these powerful contradictions. It's a bridge, but it's also a barrier. It's a place of incredible natural wonder, but also a stark reminder of human conflict. And as the relationship between India and China keeps evolving, you just have to wonder, what's the next chapter going to be for the pass of listening ears?